So a little bit earlier this evening, the IDF said that it had intercepted one drone over the maritime arena, a drone that they suspected had originated in Lebanese airspace. Now, this coincides with reports in Hebrew media that said that two drones had travelled from Lebanese territory along the coastline, and that one of them had been intercepted, and the second had made impact in the centre of Israel. Now, with regards to this, Hezbollah have claimed responsibility for the incident, with them releasing various information with regards to it, including essentially suggesting that Israeli civilians should evacuate from areas around Israeli military locations. This comes as additional attacks elsewhere in the country, elsewhere in the north of the country, continue unabated. Rocket sirens going off just in the last 8 minutes, once again in Menara and Margaliot in the far north of Israel, close to Kiryat Shmona. This being one of dozens of attacks that have taken place throughout the course of the day, and as you suggested, with the 25 casualties sustained inside southern Lebanon by the IDF, combat continues unabated. We saw some of that ourselves close to the Lebanese border, with combat taking place in the villages just on the far side of the border from Israeli territory. The incident you referred to, the IDF saying earlier that the casualties were sustained in anti-tank missile attacks. Combat there does seem to be in full flow. I just spoke to a source of mine who resides on the Lebanese border, and they have on the Israeli side of the Lebanese border, and they've told me that in the last half an hour or so, the intensity of combat has spiked up significantly. We can speculate that this may be in response to the incident that is ongoing in the centre of Israel with regards to that drone attack.
And we'll certainly be waiting for more updates, as that is a developing story. Robert Swift, thank you for your coverage from the field at this hour. Now, for more information, we're joined now by retired Major Shadi Khalul, former Security Zone officer in southern Lebanon, founder and president of the Galilee Aramaic Center, and a Hezbollah expert, joining us right now from the Upper Galilee. Shadi, thank you for being with us this evening.
Good evening.
Now, a big question right now is we're still finding the details of this specific attack in Binyamina, but it's how does this happen? How is a drone able to make such significant damage and make its way past the Israeli air defense systems?
First of all, this is not the first time that it is happening. We have this type of incident before. We saw that actually last Friday when we have Yom Kippur Eve, and we noticed the drones in Herzliya. So it passed almost 100 kilometers, and just noticed them in Herzliya. So I think this incident can happen again in the future. But it doesn't mean that our air defense system is not functional. As I understood, they tried to fire rockets, many rockets and missiles, to actually make the air defense system busy, focusing on those missiles. And at the same time, they actually fire this or send this UAV that no one noticed and ended up in Binyamina.
This is certainly an example of why it's important to listen to instructions from the Home Front Command. However, just as this drone struck Binyamina, the Home Front Command actually relaxed instructions for parts of northern Israel, with southern Golan moving from limited activity level to partial activity, and areas even further south switching to full activity with only a limit on outdoor gatherings. It really shows just how quickly the reality can change with one miscalculation. I want to bring into this discussion now our correspondent in studio, our Middle East correspondent, Ariel Osran. Ariel, the timing of this, certainly unfortunate. It shows how, on the one hand, the IDF and Israel is working to make conditions as normal as possible, but that's not the case. It only takes one of these attacks to leave quite an impact on Israeli society.
Yeah, we have seen throughout this war significant attempts by IDF Home Front Command to try and maintain some sort of normalcy in the day-to-day lives of Israelis, because they have been in this reality, mainly residents of the south and of the north. This is a daily reality since October 7, 2023. This is over a year, and so trying not to wear the public too much, wear them down with these life-saving instructions. They are trying to make this as dynamic and nimble as possible. I do think that the timing was unfortunate, that really seconds after a drone impact in the area of Binyamina, Wadi Ara, then the Home Front Command relaxing restrictions specifically in that area. Obviously, in other areas, for instance, this evening in the area of Safed, the residents were instructed to remain near shelters, not inside the shelters, but near shelters in anticipation for a strike. And so we see that this is, as you described it, a constantly changing and developing reality. And to that point, just in the past 45 minutes, Hezbollah has carried out 5 separate strikes on northern Israel across the border, not just in one specific area, from Shtura to the west to Misgav Am and Kiryat Shmona to the east. So we really see across the border this reality constantly changing. As far as the home front is concerned, the IDF still trying to allow Israelis to maintain some sort of a day-to-day, but this current day-to-day of war is very challenging. And indeed, as you mentioned, these guidelines are life-saving in many instances, like in the drone attack on Herzliya and Yom Kippur. It directly hit a nursing home north of Tel Aviv, but because the residents there made it to adhered to the guidelines and made it to a safe area, they were not impacted. The question that is being investigated right now is on this drone impact in Binyamina. Did they hear the siren? And if not, why? These are all questions that are still being asked this evening.